This is the story of how God confused the language of mankind. The Tower of Babel. After the great flood, when Noah and his family stepped out of the ark, the world began again. The land was fresh, the rivers flowed freely, and the sky was wide and bright. Noah's sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth had children. And their children had more children, until the world slowly filled with families once again. For a time, the people lived together. They spoke the same language, understood one another perfectly, and worked side by side. When one said bread, all understood. When another said stone, everyone knew what was needed. This unity made life easy. They shared laughter, work, and dreams of the future. But as the years passed, something began to grow in their hearts. Pride. Instead of saying, "Let us serve God," the people began to say, "Let us make a name for ourselves." They wanted to be remembered, powerful, and great. One day, the leaders of the people gathered everyone together. They said, "Come, let us build for ourselves a great city. And in the middle of it, we will build a tower so tall, it will reach the heavens. Then we will never be scattered, and everyone will know our greatness." The crowd cheered. Men, women, and children shouted with excitement. No longer were they content with simple homes and villages. They wanted a city that touched the sky, a monument to their own power. So the work began. Workers pressed clay into bricks and baked them in the sun until they were hard as stone. Others mixed mortars to hold the bricks together. One by one, layer upon layer, the tower began to rise. At the base, the city spread wide. Streets were laid, houses built, and markets filled with people. But above it all, the tower stood, growing taller every day. Children would point at it and say, "Look, it's touching the clouds." Travelers passing by would marvel at the sight. It became the pride of the people, their proof that nothing was impossible for them. But their hearts were far from God. The tower was not built to honor him. It was built to replace him. From the heavens, God looked down at the busy city. He saw the tower rising, the people working side by side. But more than that, he saw their hearts. He saw pride, selfishness, and a desire to rise above him. And God said, "If as one people, speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan will be impossible for them. They will keep chasing their own glory, and it will destroy them. I must act." So God came down, not to destroy, but to scatter. The next morning, as the builders worked, something strange happened. A man called out, "Pass me the brick." But the worker beside him frowned. "Ni razum. I don't understand." Another shouted, "Bring water quickly." But the woman next to him shook her head and said, "Genie comprends pa." The sight filled with noise. People shouted, argued, and waved their hands, but no one could understand one another. Where once there had been one language, now there were many. Confusion spread like wildfire. Workers dropped their tools. Friends argued. Neighbors who once laughed together now stared at each other in frustration. The tower stopped growing. Groups who could still understand one another gathered together. One family spoke one tongue, another a different one. They began to move away, traveling to new lands. Some went north, some south, others east and west. And just like that, the great project was abandoned. The tower, once their pride, now stood unfinished, silent, broken, a reminder of what happens when people put themselves above God. The city was called Babel, which means confusion, because it was there that God confused the languages of the world. From that day on, people were scattered across the earth. Nations rose, cultures grew, and languages multiplied. What was once one people became many, but all still part of God's creation. Well, first, we see how important it is to listen to God. Remember, even small choices show us where our real loyalty is.